What's up, YouTube? Knight's Edge here again. Got another little quick review for the this knife. First knife I ever had from Rosecraft Blades. This is the Rosecraft OG. OGEE. How you spell it? Um, Pretty decent little folding knife. Like I said, it's the first one I've ever had from Rosecraft Blades. Rosecraft, just a little history on Rosecraft Blades. It's a 100% female owned. Knife design company, I believe. Kind of a newer company. Their debut, they kind of came out, I think, in 2022, maybe, in Blade Show Atlanta. But they've got a lot of different kinds of knives. If you want to go check them out, I'm gonna link the description down below. I've never had another type, but this is one of their modern knives. If you go on their website to look at their knives, they've got two sections. One's modern and one's traditional. So they do a lot of like slip joint, kind of old looking knives too. And that'll be down in the description. Like I said, the link for Rosecraft Blades. But this is the OG. And go ahead and do some size comparisons and measurements, and kind of get that out the way first before I do like my thoughts on it, I guess. But here we go. Tape measure here. Going all the way to the tip of the blade. Tip of the blade to the end of the handle. You're looking right at 7 3/4 of an inch. Go ahead and double check that up top just to make sure. Or on the bottom just to make sure. Yeah, right at, I don't know, maybe a touch under 7 3/4 inches. Blade length, definitely a full-size knife, or what I would consider a full-size knife. 7.5 inch on the blade length. 3 3/8 on the cutting edge, thanks to that sharpening choil that they included there. So that's a good thing to have. And we'll go ahead and get the calibers out. A quick little measurement on the blade stock thickness here. Pretty decently thick blade stock thickness. 126 thousandths right there. Look at the thickest part. 124 thousandths. Almost 130 thousandths there. 128 thousandths. 129 thousandths. Go around to the cutting edge. Middle of the cutting edge, right at 26 thousandths there. 34 thousandths. 36 thousandths. So, not especially slicey knife. This kind of geometry. This is what I would consider and I might be wrong about this. I haven't exactly been doing this for a long time, but from everything I've seen and heard and read and all that, this is considered a compound grind, right? Not a full flat, not a hollow. I mean, it would be a hollow if that was the only part that tapered down from the flat, but that part tapers down too. So I would say this is a compound grind. It's not exactly the sliciest thing in the world. You know, it's more along built a lot more along the lines of, you know, for cutting rope, cutting you know, kind of boxes, stuff like that. So not a super slicer. You know, like if you cut a tomato with it, you know, it's definitely gonna be a mess by the time you get to the other side. You know, because not only the thumb studs, which we'll talk about in a minute, but you know, fairly thick blade stock. You know, not the thickest I've ever seen, but fairly, you know, thick blade stock. So anyway, we'll go ahead and do the handle too before I get rid of the calipers here. So the handle thickness on this thing, yeah, right at a little over 1/2 inch actually, which on most knives I would say that's, you know, if you're, you know, 550 thousandths, that's not especially great, but on this one it feels nice. I don't know if it's the way they contoured this G10, which I really like that, but it is really nice and comfortable in the hand, you know, even though it is a little bit thick. But anyway, we'll go ahead and see if I can get through all the specs and all that without getting sidetracked and forgetting something. But All right, this thing's zeroed out. Put it on there. 4.5 ounces is what I got that time. Run it again. 4.5 ounces. So a little bit on the heavier side, you know, blade to handle ratio wise, but you know, 4.5 ounces isn't exactly like a, you know, an anchor or anything. You know, it's not gonna drag your pants down or anything like that, but it is a little chunkier. You know, I wouldn't recommend this one for, you know, something like a gym carry or something like that. I'll go ahead and do size comparisons on it since I forgot that in the beginning. Get that out the way here. Paramilitary 2, Spyderco Para 3. So you'll see it's more along the lines of the size of the Paramilitary 2. Put those up. I'm sorry, not the Hogue Deca, the Ritter Hogue RSK. Get this thing to focus again. RSK MK1 G10 version. Right about the same size as that. What I would say is a full-size knife again. Hogue Deca being a smaller knife. You know, medium, I guess I'd say medium. This is medium, this is large, or this is medium, this is large, what I would say. You know, everybody's different from what they like to carry and all that, but I would say that's medium, that's large, you know. Right around the same cutting edge as the Hogue Deca. This version of it anyway. But a lot more presence in this knife for sure. And do one more. Get them out here. Got the Demco knives, 80 20.5. All right. And the Cold Steel knives, AD, which stands for Andrew Demko, AD10. All right. So, let's see, looking at them, it's not too far off from the Demko, from the 80 20.5. You know, I'd say it's more suited to that. It's closer to that size than that one. But this is also a much bigger knife. You know, this is way bulkier, way bigger, overbuilt. You know, I'd say an overbuilt more so than that one, hard use knife. But that's the size comparisons right there for that. I forgot them earlier. Put these up here, guys. I'm sorry. All right. So now, next thing, before I forget, do the pocket carry. Break out the old blue jeans pocket here. See what it's like in the pocket. Now, that's one thing, that's one of the negatives I'd say for the knife. This clip, like, look, I'm putting it in there. It is kind of hard to get it. You gotta almost use two hands whenever you put it in your pocket. You know, once you break that point right there where it pinches at, it slides right on up. And I really don't have a problem with, you know, it's not a deep carry. I don't have a problem with the way it sits, though, that little bit poking out. And it's a good looking clip. You know, I like the Rosecraft Blades logo there. A little bit of billboarding on the clip. It's not, you know, isn't a killer for me. But one thing I don't like about this knife is that pocket clip being so hard to get in and out of the pocket. You know, and I would definitely say that's one of the negatives, you know, for the knife. So do a hardware check here. These are Weehaw bits, T6, T6 here. Take the body screws. Let's see, what are we looking at? T6. That's a left-handed mount right there, so that's a good thing, right? So you got the option to mount it with a left-handed carry. A lot of knives don't do that, so that is a positive for this knife. T6 all the way around on the body clip screws. You know, it'd be better if it was T8, but you know, that's pretty common. You know, a lot of knives use T6 for body clip screws. I haven't disassembled it, but you know, if you're careful, use good quality bits, you know, and you push in and turn with pressure on it, you know, it's not that hard, you know, with a T6. It's just more likely that the thing's going to strip out. This is why a lot of people, myself included, prefer T8. You know, this is a T8 bit here. Yeah, T8. That's the pivot, T8. And it's a double-sided pivot, another negative for the knife. You know, double-sided pivot. So in order to take this thing apart, you know, T8's good, but you know, whenever you gotta use two of them, one here and one here to take it apart, you know, that's can be a little aggravating, you know. And I think that's it as far as size comparisons and dimensions and stuff like that. But let's see, we'll go on to fit and finish. I guess would be the next thing that I haven't really covered. I touched on a little bit. That G10's nice. That's a good positive for the knife for me is this G10. The contouring on that I like it a lot. It's similar, as a matter of fact, to me. And I don't know exactly the name for it. It's similar, very similar to the contouring if you got one on this Cold Steel 8010. Very similar feeling. I've always liked the texturing on that G10. It's not too grippy. It's not too, doesn't kind of cut your hand or anything, but you know it's there, you know. I do like this. You know, this is both good and bad. This little hump right here that the flipper kind of lines up with whenever you flip it open. It kind of secures it in hand. It makes it feel nice and secure. You know, it's not going anywhere right there. And it feels really good. It feels like it'd be a really good cutter. I've used it a few times just for little knick-knack stuff here and there. Boxes mostly, open and closing. Cut a little bit of rope with it, not much. But yeah, in hand, choke back like that, really comfortable. Now choked up's where the problem comes in. You know, when you choke up, you know, if you got to choke up and get kind of close for detail cuts, this ain't the knife for you, really, because even though I do have average hands and they're a little, you know, little fat fingers kind of for right now anyway at this point in my life, with anyone's fingers, I would imagine, especially if you had larger hands, whenever you get right there on that point, you're gonna cut into your finger if you're cutting hard enough, you know. So that's not a good thing, you know. It'd be good to have this kind of you know, a little bit of a more of a choil cut out there. I would definitely say it'd be better to sacrifice a little cutting edge even for that, or get rid of this, get rid of the flipper, you know, because this knife deploys perfectly fine with the thumb studs. The thumb studs aren't the best in the world by any means, you know, but they're not the worst thumb studs I've ever ran into. Thumb studs, if you're looking at the knife profile, if you're looking down at the knife profile, aside from the clip, the thumb studs stick out quite a good bit. You know, they could kind of, I don't know, maybe trim down, not mill, but kind of cut, make them not as long with thumb studs. The type of thumb studs it's not bad, you know. It's not a deal breaker or anything like that, but they could definitely do something there. I thought about as soon as I opened this knife and messed with it a little bit, I automatically thought, man, this would be great without the flipper tab. You know, you'd take it apart, and thought about doing that, maybe taking it apart and kind of getting rid of that flipper tab, because not only when it's sitting in the pocket is it kind of, you know, a little bit extra poking at things in there, but you know, also if you get rid of the flipper tab, that's a little bit more room here. But then you'd have to get rid of, you know, I'd have to carve out a little bit of the liners in there, you know, and the G10 on the handle in order to get what I would really, you know, want out of it would be, you know, for it to pretty much look like that, you know, for that to, and I'd probably have to do a little blade work too, but I think it does have the potential to be a total, you know, ergonomic masterpiece, you know, but it's not a total failure. It's a great, feels great in hand choke back, really. One of the better knives, actually, that I felt choke back like that. Feels really good choke back like that, but whenever you're trying to do detail work, choked up, not great at all. So, what else we got to talk about on this thing? Oh, the lock. Look at the lock. This is a good lock. There's not really a cutout for it. It's contoured right there for your fingers, right? But the lock kind of sticks up with these. They're not super sharp, but they're fairly uncomfortable little teeth, ridges right there. You know, that could have been could have had a little more of a cutout for the lock bar access too. You know, looking at the lock straight away, that's what you're looking at. You know, so they could have had a little more lock bar access. Lock could have been chamfered down a little. You know, not as stiff. Um, Good lockup. You know, good engagement as far as the lockup goes. Blade came pretty decently centered. You know, not too bad as far as the centering goes. Almost perfectly centered up. The action on it. Once you clear the detent right here, that's where that detent ball's hitting right there. Once you clear that flipper tab gets your thumb. So that's a double clutch, right? That's one thing that I dislike with pocket knives is a double clutch. It's easy, you know. It's with liner locks and frame locks, you know, it's possible to get that, and if you're not careful, you'll have a double clutch, and that's what this has got, you know. So once you shove that liner lock out the way, shove it over, this thing is coming back closed, right? Until you hit the detent ball, goes in a little hole that's inside the bottom of the blade. So right there, it's not going down because it's sitting on the detent ball. So once you push, you know, you're holding the lock over. Once you clear that detent ball, that's the point where you clear the detent ball. That flipper going around your thumb right there. Now you could, right there, that's where it clears the detent ball. So there's a little room if you unlock it from way down here, but the tendency is when you unlock this knife is to push right there to unlock it. And if you're not careful, you'll definitely, you know, get that double clutch going on where you pinch your thumb with the flipper. I like the blade shape. D2 steel for a budget knife for the price of this knife. D2 steel, I have no complaints there. It's a nice little, I guess that would be maybe stonewash finish. I don't know what to consider that finish on it. I don't know if it's stonewash or what. Tumbled stonewash. It's definitely not satin. And I like the hardware, you know, color. It's not anodized, I don't think. You know, I think it's all stainless. It's not like anodized titanium or anything like that. But I like the blue on black contrast with the color. You know, some people might not. Jimping doesn't really have any jimping as far as on top of the blade. You know, that would be good if it had some jimping up here. It would help out with the knife for sure, ergonomically. But my main thing with this knife, downside I'd say, is the double clutch and the not being able to choke up on it. You know, that's one of the reasons I love Spyderco knives so much. For the most part, Spydercos are pretty good ergonomically. You know, especially like when you look at the Shaman or, you know, Paramilitary 2 and stuff. In my opinion, which that's all this channel is, right? It's my opinion. So, this overall, I'd say if I had to score this knife, you know, give it a grade, with having to use 2 bits to take it apart, the double clutch, the extra pokiness of the thumb studs, steel's not bad for the price. This was $24.99 on sale, $54.99 when it's not on sale. So D2 steel is a steel. That's not great, but it's not especially terrible either. You know, give an example, like this knife. This is a Demco 80-20.5. I pay this knife was actually $120. This is D2 steel. This is D2 steel. This is $25. But what you're paying for when you get this, you know, you got something that's comfortable in hand, choked up, choked back, good jimping. You know, great innovative breakthrough of a lock. You know, from in my opinion anyway. You know, with that shark lock. So, you know, same materials. You know, I even like the materials on this better. But, you know, that's one example, I guess. I know I kind of went off into left field on that, but that's one example of materials not really mattering. You know, that didn't really matter to me because I wanted that lock. You know, and I wanted, you know, something that was ergonomic with that lock and everything. So anyway, for the on sale price, I would give considering the on sale price, I would say this knife is probably like maybe like a 80 or even like a 82, final grade, which is pretty good. But without it being on sale for 55 bucks, 50, 55, anything over $50, the price of this knife, for me, the grade would drastically drop. I would say, that this is not a great deal for anything over $35, especially when you got the Rat 1, Rat 2 out there, and Civivi has a lot of good knives. This is designed and everything in the United States by women and everything, but it's made in China, so this is it's another thing. You don't. It's not like you're comparing American, manufacturing to a Chinese made knife with the differences. So this does have to compete in the same ballpark as a Civivi, CJRB, stuff like that. So for what it is, it's not a terrible knife. I really like the blade shape, that upswept cleaver blade. I really like that. Sharpening choil is good. I love that G10. I like the weight of it. Choke back like this, I do like that, but to me, it's got more positives than negatives. I wouldn't recommend this knife, especially for anything over like 30 bucks. Now on sale, like I said, for $24.99, not a terrible knife, but whenever you're looking at $55, there's definitely a lot better that you could get. But also there's the support thing. I mean, if you want to support this company and their woman-owned, woman-designed thing, that's awesome too. And that's another thing to consider that might kind of push the knife more into into your favor. But overall, I'd say like I said, maybe I give it like an 80 overall. 78 to 80 if it's $24. But if you push that price up to anything above $30 with the market like it is right now and the competitors that this knife has, I'd say maybe like a 60. Definitely got a lot of competition that's better in the same price ballpark out there. But anyway, that is my review and my take on the Rosecraft Blades Ogee. I appreciate everybody watching the video, and I really appreciate if you made it this far along. It means a lot. All those viewing hours add up, and they add up to what my ultimate goal for the channel, would be monetization and being able to do this more and having more things to make content with. So anyway, like I said, I appreciate everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys that are already subscribed. Subscribe to the video if you're not already. Like the video down below. And we'll definitely have more content coming out soon. This is A Knight's Edge, and I'll see you guys on the next one.